Ever since my book came out, people have been coming out of the woodwork with false accusations about the paternity of Khloe Kardashian stuff. This story, it's just not going away.
You know, somebody said it, and in this world, once you say it or it's printed, it makes it real.
What's important to me is for Khloe to get where she comes from.
Dearest Khloe, I fell in love with you and will always remember the look on Daddy's face when you were born. He was so happy and so excited that you were a blondie and gave Nana all the credit. Even made your grandmother MJ a little jealous, I think. Daddy and I were so very close, and I know in my heart that he too would want to set the record straight, especially since Daddy isn't here to help me himself.
It makes me just so ridiculously sad to think that she wouldn't believe that Rob was her dad.
For years, there's been much speculation regarding the paternity of Khloe Kardashian and whether or not the late Robert Kardashian Sr. is her biological father. ScreenRant.com writes, the rumors stem from the fact that Khloe doesn't strongly resemble Kris, the late Robert Sr., her siblings, or her half-siblings. Additionally, Kris's affair during her marriage to Robert fueled the fire and helped incite a years-long conspiracy theory surrounding the paternity of Khloe. Before this news became a storyline on the Kardashians' reality TV show, rumors that Robert wasn't Khloe's biological father had been circulating in the Beverly Hills community for decades. Born on June 27, 1984, Khloe Alexandra Kardashian looked a lot different from her sisters Kourtney and Kim. Instead of having olive skin with dark hair and dark eyes, Khloe was fair-skinned with curly blonde hair and bright green eyes. As she got older, people in the Kardashians' inner circle began to raise questions as they noticed just how different she looked. In an attempt to explain away the suspicions, Kris would say that Khloe resembled her maternal great-grandmother, Lou Ethel, while Robert asserted that Khloe looked just like his mother, Helen, who was Armenian but didn't have typical Armenian features. In an interview with Jerry Oppenheimer, author of The Kardashians in American Drama, Robert's childhood friend Joni Migdal said this, when I first saw Khloe, I noticed how different she looked from the rest of the Kardashian family, but I kept my mouth zipped. I just didn't say a word. What was I supposed to say? I had 2 children of my own. I didn't think it was appropriate to mention her looks, so I didn't say anything. Joni wouldn't be the only one suppressing her thoughts, according to Robert's former pastor and mentor, Ken Gullickson. Over time, Robert became suspicious too. After learning that Kris had been unfaithful in their marriage, Robert reportedly had a conversation with Ken expressing his concerns. In an interview with Oppenheimer, Ken said, Kris and Robert had 4 children. Well, they had 3 kids and somebody else's kid. Bob never asked my counsel, but I simply heard from him that Khloe wasn't his biological daughter. He gave me no names of who he thought the father was, but I certainly know it wasn't OJ. Bob was very straightforward. We were simply having a conversation about everything he'd been through. It was my strong impression from him that he loved Khloe very much, but he said it in a way that implied she's not my blood daughter, meaning his biological daughter. That was the implication. My understanding from him was that he and Kris hadn't had sex during the period of time they would have had to have sex when Khloe was conceived. And there were other things that I know he kept to himself about all of that. Things he didn't talk about. He was obviously wanting to protect his family.
Ever since my book came out, people have been coming out of the woodwork with false accusations like Robert Kardashian's ex-wives accusing me of not being faithful when Khloe was conceived. Not true. So I'm just a little annoyed right now because I'm getting all these Google alerts about the paternity of Khloe Kardashian stuff. This story, it's just not going away. I mean, it's going to take something that proves it false once and for all, in my opinion.
The reason this subject is even talked about is because it was in her book. I mean, she's got to let this thing go.
Following Robert's divorce from Kris in 1991, he would go on to marry Janice Ashley on November 25th, 1998. It would be a short-lived marriage, lasting just a few months. According to Janice, their marriage was doomed from the start, as she didn't get along with his kids or his ex-wife. In an interview with Radar Online, Janice said, "Did the kids have anything to do with it? Of course they did. All I know is that he was upset all the time. Well, not with me, but with his kids and his ex-wife. They were after him for money, money, money. I don't think he could handle them. They acted like a bunch of spoiled brats. I never met kids like that. I don't know why they were so mean, but they were. From their daddy, they wanted everything right then. Here you have a father who's always acting like he's a big star, and he's not, and 4 kids acting like they're big stars. They weren't rich. Sorry. He didn't have any money. He always pretended he had money. But I know from Robert, he didn't have any money. Why do you think I asked him to sign a prenup? One day, I was sitting there preparing a very good dinner for all of his people, and I looked at one of the girls. I asked Courtney, "Do you mind helping me? Please, help me put the plates out." And she said, "Jan, go away. I'm busy." So I called Robert. "Tell him exactly what you said to me." And she repeated it. Robert said, "She's just a kid." I said, "No, she's not a kid. She should be helping me." I told every single person and the kids to get out. After that, they never came back. Following this altercation, Robert filed to have the marriage annulled. In a sworn declaration dated May 19, 1999, Robert made very telling claims that Kris Jenner would later use as evidence to prove that he is Khloe's biological father. Here's what he wrote. "I married Janice with the expectation of having a child together. I am the one who changed my mind. Approximately 2 months after our marriage, I changed my mind about fathering a child with Janice. I decided that since I already had 4 biological children, I did not wish to have any more. I declare under penalty of perjury under the laws of the state of California that the foregoing is true and correct." According to Oppenheimer, Robert's claim that he had, quote, 4 biological children is what Kris Jenner used over the years to affirm that he was, in fact, Khloe's biological father. But it's important to note that despite his declaration, Robert never had a DNA test conducted to confirm his statement. Joni told Oppenheimer, "We talked about the Khloe situation often, but Robert was unwilling to take a DNA test. He would joke around and say the father was probably the swimming pool man, but Robert was not angry because he didn't care. He said, whatever she is ethnically, whoever her father is, whatever has happened, she is my child. He made a decision that no matter who Khloe's father was, that Robert was going to love her as his own, and it was all done. That was his decision. It was the honorable way of doing it, and the respectful way. He didn't want a DNA test done. He didn't want to find out anything. He told me, I love Khloe. She's wonderful. She's mine, period. But he knew she wasn't his. His confirmation to me was, she's mine and I don't care who the father is." Robert and Janice's marriage was successfully annulled in 1999 after it was determined that Robert had married her under false pretenses. As stated in his declaration, Robert wed Janice with the intent of having a baby. However, what Robert failed to disclose to Janice was the fact that, after the birth of his son Rob, he allegedly had a secret vasectomy prohibiting him from having any more biological children. 2 sources confirmed this information to Oppenheimer. Robert's friend, Larry Crane, said, Robert said he had a vasectomy. He didn't want any more kids. He told me, I'm done having kids. I've had enough kids. So that whole deal with Janice was a joke. Joni added, he told me he had it done after his son was born. He did not want other children. And that whole series of weddings with Jan and Ellen, I don't think his heart was in either of them. He just did it because he was probably lonely. Those last 2 wives were spur-of-the-moment wives. I don't think he cared very deeply about either of them.
We've all agreed to do a DNA test.
This is just dumb. So
It's not stupid, and
it's
you
not
do
stupid
care.
to you. You're the one who wrote it. You had an affair about however many years ago.
It was 25 years ago, and I wrote a memoir, okay? And when you write a memoir, you have to, tell your life story.
Memoir.
And what most people want to
Memoir.
know is why I got divorced from Daddy, so I told my story. There's nothing wrong with that.
But that's what opened up the floodgates,
What opened up the floodgates, Khloe, if you remember correctly, is 2 of your dad's ex-wives.
Mom, watch your mouth in front of my son.
Okay, no, I'm not actually. I'm angry. Because you're blaming this on me when it wasn't me who started this rumor. It was 2 other that you are even considering that their information be correct when they're just out to get press.
I'm not blaming anything on you.
Then why wouldn't you just want to get a DNA test and put it to rest? Why?
Leave me alone.
People are out there saying that
Mom,
your dad isn't your dad.
But I don't care what they're saying. Because everyone's calling me fat. Do you want me to go get lipo? My dad is Robert Kardashian. My other dad is Bruce Jenner. If you f***ed other people during the same time and you do not know, go on Maury. I don't care.
As the Kardashians rose to fame, headlines surrounding the paternity of Khloe Kardashian began to make waves. One of the men linked to this story was the late O.J. Simpson. Many have accused the former football star of being the father. It's important to note that despite rumors alleging that O.J. and Kris had an affair, both O.J. and Kris Jenner have gone on the record several times to deny these claims. In 2022, O.J. appeared on an episode of Full Send podcast where he said this.
How'd she look back then?
Well, see, I don't, people have their types, right? I always thought Kris was a cute girl. She was really nice. But, I was... I was dating. Supermodels.
You know the rumor.
Yeah, but the rumor ain't true. It's not even nowhere close to being true. No, it's just that I've never been attracted to her, and I never suspected she was ever attracted to me. So that was never a case.
Because some people think you might be Khloe Kardashian's real dad.
No, I'm not.
Because Kim's 5'5". Courtney's 5'3", and then Khloe's 6'2".
I've seen the family say something about a cook or something, but I don't know. I can't say that. I know. I have no.
There's a video of Khloe that just came out. She throws a football 40 yards. You seen that?
She threw it further than I can.
In addition to OJ, another man that's been linked to the story is Todd Waterman, the man whom Kris cheated on Robert with. But despite his affair with Kris, Todd asserts that he is not the father. In an interview with the Daily Mail, Todd said, "Khloe's definitely not my kid. We had this affair 5 years after she was born. I feel sorry that Khloe has to go through something like that. Khloe would go out with us. She'd be in the back seat of the car if we were going to lunch. I had a special relationship with her more than the other children. She was just the cutest. She was a smart kid. And when talking to her sisters, she would say, 'You don't like him, do you?' She was funny." Another man accused of being the father is Kris's former hairdresser, Alex Roldan. Many find it uncanny how similar he and Khloe look. They also find it interesting that Khloe's middle name, Alexandra, is similar to his name, Alex. But it should be noted that despite these rumors, the Kardashians have publicly gone on the record to deny claims that he is the father, while Alex, on the other hand, has maintained his silence. Determined to combat the narrative that she is not the biological daughter of the late Robert Kardashian, Khloe had several DNA tests performed during an episode of their show Keeping Up with the Kardashians. In the episode, it was reported that Khloe is 41% Middle Eastern, which more than likely confirmed Robert Kardashian's Armenian ancestry. Though she refused to take a paternity test, Khloe was seemingly content with the results, as it validated to her that she was in fact part of the family. And while the public may never know the truth when it comes to this story, according to Kris Jenner, all of the conspiracy theories can finally be put to bed, thanks to the birth of Khloe's son Tatum, whom she says is Robert Kardashian reincarnated.
Khloe, this is the spitting image of your dad and your brother. It's freaking me out.
Tatum? Tatum is Robert Kardashian Sr. He is my ex-husband in a baby form.
Hi, little Rob.
Even his little mannerisms, his little smile, the way he looks at me. I look through those eyes and I see his little soul and I can just, yep, there he is. The DNA is real.